Chapter 55. Grose's legs blurred against the glossy linoleum floor of the hall, slipping around a corner. Tina loved him, and although she had always wanted a dog, her feelings came more than just from this longing. There was something special about Grose. He had a big heart. In fact, he was almost all heart. She could see it in his eyes and face when he looked at her. She could feel it when she petted him. He loved life and the people who respected life. He loved her. Even though he was just a dog, she believed he had understood her. Grose would find Ashley. He would not let them down. She was glad he was real. After awakening, she never expected him to come out of the dream as well. She thought he had only been just a part of it, someone, most likely Laura, having dreamt him up for comfort and love. He was perfect for that. Grose rounded the next corner. His happy pink tongue sagged left as he leaned hard, almost falling, paws slipping and scraping. Tina slowed for the turn, having much better traction with her bare feet. She didn't make noise as she hurried after Grose, with Jeff following not far behind. The dog stopped at one door and sniffed. She and Jeff caught up. "Do you think this is it?" he asked, winded from the run. Grose whined, suddenly springing 4 feet into the air, legs wheeling, and when he hit the ground, he shot down the hall. She hurried after him. His floppy ears perked for a moment at the next intersection as he paused, then he bolted right. Down this long hall, Grose made several leaps into the air, appearing to desire flight. But, of course, the little dog couldn't fly, and looked silly for trying. He skidded to a stop, sniffed high in the air, then low to the ground. He walked back to a closed door he had passed, sniffing the crack at the bottom. His paws scratched fervently at the floor as though to tunnel underneath the door. Jeff finally caught up, breathing hard. After several moments, he barely managed to say, "Is this it?" "I think so," she said quietly. She tried the knob, locked. She looked at Jeff. He tried with the same lack of success. None of these rooms had been locked before. Grose's digging increased into a frenzy. Jeff proposed, "Maybe after you escaped the first time, the staff became more diligent." "But my room wasn't locked." Grose whined in pain as he dug. The blue floor showed white scratches from his claws. She was sure if they didn't open the door soon, Grose would tunnel under it or have bloodied, broken paws for trying. She squatted beside the dog and held him still so he wouldn't hurt himself. Bending down and looking through the crack, she tried seeing inside. Grose whimpered impatiently in her arms. The light was on in the room. There appeared to be some brown clothing scattered on the floor, though nobody's feet walking around. Maybe she's not here, Jeff breathed. How can this dog know? Ashley, she called in the same soft voice she spoke with Jeff, so as not to alert anyone patrolling the halls. She put her ear to the door, but heard nothing. She tried calling louder this time. No answer. He whispered, "What if a staff member is in there?" Tina shivered. The clothing on the floor did look like the janitor's. Graze weaseled out of her arms and sprang to the door and continued digging, intently focused on this task. Jeff placed his ear against the door, puzzled. "I think I hear a girl giggling." She picked Graze up again so she could listen clearly. "Maybe it's Ashley." Putting her ear to the door, she also heard giggling, but it was strange, worried and forced. In her arms, Graze spun his legs and arched his back, fighting to get free. With Ashley's wrist pinned to the bed, Ron tried for his underwear again, his breaths haggard. "Laura will come," she kept telling herself. "She promised. I believe in her. She's a good person. She won't let me down. She cares about me. She's already tried to save me. Somebody cares." Despite feeling alone, she knew she was not. Jeff, Charlie, Donald, and Tina were also in this hospital, but they might need help themselves. They might be in worse situations than herself. Maybe Laura went to get them first. With a terrible coldness, she began to doubt if she was worth saving. Laura could have gotten to know Ashley just long enough to discover she didn't deserve the extra effort to be rescued. Laura must have understood that the others were more important. Ashley was, after all, used and emotionally damaged. Emptiness hollowed through her. She worried at the reason she woke up with this monster on her. There had already been enough bad people in her life. Why again? The emptiness entrenched itself deeper. Her value must be less than garbage if people keep abusing her. Surely a person worth would be respected and not repeatedly treated with repulsive, filthy acts. A knock came from the door. She couldn't believe what she heard. She spun it again and again through her head, making sure it was what she believed it to be, a knock. The person behind it might care. She wondered if she were hallucinating. Had Ron finally driven her over the edge of sanity? She allowed herself to believe it was someone to save her. But this belief quickly fell into the abyss within her, replaced by the rising belief that the person outside was just another man to abuse her, one of Ron's friends who he invited to the party. This would make more sense. Ron lifted his head, listening, as though surprised by the sound. He didn't get up and answer the door. He didn't even call out a friend's name. He didn't expect this. Perhaps it wasn't his friend. Knock, knock. He looked scared. A drop of sweat crawled from his forehead over his bushy eyebrows, jumped to his greasy cheek, and fell onto her neck. "Don't make a sound," he said, threatened. Why wouldn't he want to alert anyone outside? Unless it was, it could, it might be Laura. Laura had come. It really could be her. Ashley screamed. He drove the pillow into her face. She tried to slap his head, but his forearms rested firmly on hers. Her heart thumped more fiercely than ever. She put all her belief in the idea someone had come to save her. Even though she was of no importance, perhaps someone didn't want her to suffer anymore. Perhaps someone cared so much, had so much love and goodness inside. This person could not stand by idly to have even Ashley endure this torment. The abuse Ron was doing was wrong. Someone was at the door to help. Someone who still cared about people, no matter who they were, no matter what they had done, and no matter what they had been through. To this person, it didn't matter how useless, abused, and unloved Ashley was. Under the pillow, her lungs aching with need, she involuntarily chewed for air. Crash. Wood cracked, and some shouts. Ron jumped off her, and she threw the pillow to the side. It all happened so fast. A white blur of growling bit into Ron's left leg, and he swung it in great arcs to rid himself of the creature. With no success, he dropped his leg, bent over, and punched at the little white body, causing it to whimper. But it did not let go. In fact, it began to growl deep for such a small thing, and shook its head from side to side, ears flopping about. Ron screamed and punched it again, this time hitting its head, causing it to yelp. But it did not let go. It would not let go. It was bleeding around the nose, but it kept hanging on. Ashley felt sorry for the creature, yet was taken by its tenacity. She wondered the reason it cared so much to risk its life for her. Why didn't it run away and try saving itself? It had many opportunities to do so. Ron was at least 20 times larger than it, so it couldn't win this fight unless having a good heart made a difference. It was getting hurt, and Ashley wasn't worth that. Why was it so committed? She didn't understand. Then she understood. His green eyes were ablaze. She recognized the sweet dog, Graze, the one she could not deny who loved her, the one who comforted her when she was scared, made her laugh when she was sad, kept her company when she was lonely, and now risked his life for her. Her heart leapt inside her chest, her spirit soared, and for the moment, she believed in herself, believed in her worth, as Graze did unconditionally. She rolled off the bed to stop the man who had harmed this dog, rising to save the one who would save her.